How's it going, everyone? One of the biggest stories to follow in the entirety of 2025 is going to be the Palworld and Nintendo ongoing lawsuit for a wide variety of reasons, because it can have severe consequences for all of gaming in terms of how patent law and things of this nature are handled, because I'm sure there are a lot of other publishers and definitely smaller developers that are looking at this situation where you do have this big entity in Nintendo going after Pocket Pair and Palworld over gameplay patents. That's what should be reiterated, but it's been a very interesting story to follow, and we do have a big update on the lawsuit, and I have to say it's not a good update. So let us talk about it. The official Palworld Twitter account left a tweet late last night, and their time zone obviously a little bit different as far as when they decided this is gonna go out, but they had to make gameplay changes to Palworld. So their official X post notes this: regarding the lawsuit changes to Palworld and the future, we would like to express our sincere gratitude and appreciation for the continued support of our fans over the past few months. We apologize for not being able to share as much information as we would like, but we trust our fans understanding how difficult it is to be fully transparent while litigation is ongoing. Currently, we remain involved in prolonged legal proceedings regarding alleged patent infringement. We continue to dispute these claims and assert the invalidity of the patents in question. However, we have had to make certain compromises in order to avoid disruptions to the development and distribution of Palworld. The most notable one they go over in the post: on November 30th of 2024, we released patch v.0.3.11 for Palworld. This patch removed the ability to summon pals by throwing pal spheres and instead changed it to a static summon next to the player. Several other game mechanics were also changed with this patch, as many have speculated these changes were indeed a result of the ongoing litigation. Just to note something, there was some confusion as far as why Pocket Pair wasn't more transparent. Guys, whenever you are in a legal situation like this and a legal battle, you have to be very, and I mean very, careful about what you say on a public platform. Anything you say can and will be used against you, so you have to walk that road very, very carefully, and you have to make sure you don't get yourself even into more hot water, because here's what can happen. Pocket Pair says something in a social media post or in an interview, and Nintendo can be like, okay, that's their admission that they are going after our gameplay patents and they are copyright infringing. You guys get how it works. It's just something so small can warp into a gigantic disarray of a situation, and I'm sure with this entire post they probably had it reviewed by legal counsel, at least I would assume. Everyone here at Pocket Pair was disappointed that this adjustment had to be made, and we fully understand that many players feel the same frustration, unfortunately, as the alternative would have led to an even greater deterioration of the gameplay experience for players. It was determined that this change was necessary. Furthermore, we regret to inform our players that with the implementation of patch v.0.5.5, we must make yet another compromise. From this patch onward, gliding will be performed using a glider rather than with pals. Pals in the players team will still provide passive buffs to gliding, but players will now need to have a glider in their inventory in order to glide. We understand that this will be disappointing for many, just as it is for us, but we hope our fans understand that these changes are necessary in order to prevent further disruptions to the development of Palworld. We also want to extend our apologies to our fans for the discomfort and concern this ongoing litigation has caused. We remain committed to developing Palworld and delivering exciting new content to our fans. On behalf of everyone at Pocket Pair and Team Palworld, thank you again for your continued support. So, a lot to digest there. I think the number one takeaway from this is going to be people incredibly upset at Nintendo, and rightfully so. I get it. People can get upset at Nintendo, but at the end of the day, Nintendo's gonna make money despite anything related to this. Even though this is gaining a little bit of traction, and the social media post by the Palworld Twitter account has 1.1 million views, we all know that's a drop in the bucket. We all know by the time the Switch 2 drops, it'll be sold out everywhere. The games are gonna sell well, and people are gonna buy up game key cards. Everything like that is gonna do fairly well. However, I would like to reiterate the fact that, you guys, while in a vacuum, I see most people being upset about this situation, realize that this situation with Palworld and Pocket Pair versus Nintendo is going to have rippling effects to gaming in totality, because this is something that other publishers are going to look at. What happens if there's another game that you could say, hey, takes a little bit of inspiration, or there are some similar characteristics about it, and it's usurping the prevailing leader in that space? And again, with Palworld, it's so interesting because from a gameplay standpoint, and they're getting attacked for the gameplay patents, from a gameplay standpoint, Palworld is so diametrically opposed to what Pokemon is. It is so different to what Pokemon is, but yet they are still facing these patent disputes. And why do you think that is? Do you think Nintendo is actually upset about the gameplay patents being infringed? Do you think they're upset about that? Or do you think they woke up on the wrong side of the bed one morning and they realized, hey, there's this game that's coming out, it's clearly taking inspiration from a lot of our mon designs, and it's really gaining a lot of traction, and they started viewing it as a threat? And let me reiterate that. It is because they are now viewing Palworld as a threat. Do you think they view Nexomon as a threat? They do not. They view Palworld as a threat. Should they view Palworld as a threat? I don't think so. I think if anything, this should reinforce them to try something different with Pokemon. And even if they don't want to do that, they don't have to. You know, Pokemon Zeta A, it's gonna sell millions. You know, whenever they release the next mainline Pokemon game, it'll sell millions. You know, whenever they do the next Pokemon remake, it'll sell millions. Pokemon will be successful no matter what they could do. They could go back to GBA level graphics and it's still gonna do very well. And I bring up the visual aspects to it because yes, visuals aren't everything, but I see people all the time crap about, you know, the newer Pokemon games and their performance level, but I digress. They can do whatever they want within some sort of reason, and Pokemon will still be successful. Hell, there are a lot of people online that are disenfranchised with what Pokemon is these days. However, you look at the sales numbers of these Pokemon games, nothing is going to affect it. In fact, I would say, if anything, Palworld is going to be a net positive for Pokemon, because at least it would push them to do something if they wanted to, and if they didn't, at worst case scenario, it would be net neutral. Like, I don't think it would be affecting them whatsoever. But at the end of the day, as a consumer, why should you care about that on whether or not this game existing is a negative for Nintendo? If it is a negative for Nintendo, that should push Nintendo to do something more worthwhile with their IPs and with Pokemon. Them going the lawsuit route is them just not being able to take this perceived L, or however you want to take it. Obviously, they view this game as a threat at this point, but again, it's just a really unfortunate story, especially after the success of this game. And people have to realize as well, even though this game sold incredibly well, it did gigantic numbers, it's still a drop in the bucket in terms of the resources that Nintendo is going to have at their disposal, and it's going to make the situation incredibly difficult. Even if Palworld comes on the other side of this legal dispute and it's all sunshine and rainbows, do you think this is something they want to deal with a game that is still very much in early access, that they still have to very much put effort into the content level of the game and making sure it comes out at a suitable 1.0? Do you think they want to have the cloud hanging over them of a literal lawsuit from Nintendo, even if they are confident that they can make it to the other side? It's not something a game developer in the midst of developing their early access title wants to deal with. Nobody's trying to deal with that. Legal disputes is one of the most stressful things to deal with, especially when you're talking about fighting an entity that has endless resources in Nintendo. They're going after this game from a gameplay patent standpoint. Ask yourself, if you are a Nintendo defender, why they are doing that. I don't think it's because they actually view their gameplay patents being the be-all, end-all, that Palworld is infringing on them and they have to go after them. I think it's because they view this game as a threat, and yes, the Mon design, certainly, they're not a fan of that. That's my interpretation of the situation, but realize as the consumer that this is a story that is very much worth following, and you should want one particular outcome to happen here, because this is something that could very much have rippling effects and be incredibly consequential for the long-term prospects of game development and in utilizing various aspects of games. Because what's going to stop a different publisher in a different realm to see a game that poses a threat to them and then them having some sort of patent? You guys get what I'm saying? This is going to be a case study going into the future, and you do not want Nintendo to win this case study. But that'll do it for me. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Again, Palworld facing more changes, and it's very unfortunate. Even if you can look at this and be like, hey, this is a minor change, the fact they have to make changes at all is incredibly disheartening. And what if there's more changes to come? And it's attacking what their vision for the game is. They have to change what their vision of the game is because of these nonsense patent disputes, and, you know, it's just absolutely whack. That'll do it for me. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. As always, sound off there. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.